Come on, video. You can do it. Any day now, my friend. Now. There it is. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to World War III. It's going on, feeling strong. So-called deployment meals have gone out to members of the Army. So, and the mess halls are receiving steak and lobster as their meal today. And it appears as though the United States government is going to enter into the conflict, the ongoing skirmish, the exercise, the war that is between Israel and Iran right now. So, oil prices expect $120, $130, $150 barrel oil. Gas prices through the roof to coincide with the price of everything going up as a result of all these stupid tariffs. Anonymous is warning that Israel has planned a false flag terrorist attack inside the United States to get us to go all like, woo, for it. Well, I guess we'll see how that plays out. Yeah, this is fucking stupid. This is dumb. But here we are, just, going to war again. On top of that, the Republicans have slipped into the budget bill a plan to sell off 120 million acres of public land. Land that you and I own and are allowed to use recreationally. Thanks to the 1872 mining law, beautiful monuments, national forests, Bureau of Land Management land is all basically on the sales block, on the auction block, to be sold off to private interests. Why? Because those private interests want access to that land for the resources, unencumbered, right? They want to be able to strip mine, log, build ski resorts, cabins, ranches, you name it, on land that we traditionally had historical access to hunt, fish, camp, hike, motorbike, dirt bike, mountain bike, 4x4 over, bird watch, just rainbow gatherings, whatever it is you do out there. You're going to lose this access to land. Why? Because they're going to sell it off to offset their $4 trillion in tax cuts for billionaires. So the billionaires will buy the land and in perpetuity have access to the resources and everything else that land encumbers. And at the same time get huge tax breaks on top of it. So they'll be able to capitalize their net worth and take away your recreation. So, you have to work 52 weeks a year, 16 hours a day anyway. So you're not going to have time to pursue all these hobbies and go out there and hunt and fish and camp and hike and prospect and do whatever it is that you do. No, fuck you. You're going to stay in the factory. And the billionaires are going to get to enjoy the spoils of this beautiful continent that we live on. So yeah, I got that going for us. Today, GameStop wrapped up their bond offering, $2.25 billion. They call it Project Wee. So small wee wee. Anything else? Oh yeah, they arrested the comptroller of New York. He was at immigration court and he asked ICE agents to provide a warrant. And they thought that was assault, so they handcuffed him and hauled him away. If you are confronted with ICE agents, ask them if they can identify themselves as a real officer of the law and ask for their badge number and serial number, name, badge number, and serial number. If they refuse, say you're going to call the authorities, dial 911, and say that a man with a gun is posing as a law enforcement officer and you and everyone else feels threatened. You'll get one hell of a response out of that. So these fucking Gestapo dickbags, they need to be stopped. This is going way too far in all this. So we're at war. We're selling off all our lands to billionaires to pay for their tax cuts, and we're arresting elected officials for doing things you should legally allowed to do, such as ask to see a warrant, right? So here we are in fascist America, where everything's falling apart in a damned hurry. But hey, I made the cut on an interview for a community college in Canada. So maybe I'll end up in Vancouver proper. We'll find out on that one. Okay, so how about I click the button and make it go wee? The proper butt scratch while we watch the intro. Woo! The dog is just like, oh. Iggy sent me a scientific journal article earlier today about how dogs evolved eyebrows and wolves don't have them, and they have the ability to like raise their eyebrows and do stuff like that, so they can emit emotion similar to human facial expressions. And all this dog does it for is to like give me side eye and to roll her eyes at me. This dog rolls her eyes at me constantly. Okay, Iggy Limon was first. Oh my God, Iggy, you decided to get in there first. Vera Nokum, I'm first. Oh, Iggy just beat you. Julius in their third. Brandon Wells in their fourth. Iggy, did you scroll to the end of a signal message? That price cut on LA house is a fire sale territory. Oh shit, I had not made it there yet. No, I had not made it to the end of that. I was reading it and then I ate food and I got distracted and I have not made it there. So maybe I'll have to check that out later. Okay. Hazel's here. Eric, since GME finished its offering, so it's time the price to go up? Right? That's what it should do, right? What we do after hours here. Where the heck is my... Nope. Went down. We peaked. We hit almost 24. We got 23.74. We bottomed out at 22.82. We're sitting below 23 at the moment. Just barely. We're 22.99 after hours. So yeah, it should go up. I think Max Payne is around 24, 25 bucks for this week. Where's my Max Payne list here? GME Max. Oops. Nope. Gotta type. GME Max Payne. GME Max Payne. GME Max Payne is at $24. We do not have very many options in the money at the moment. It's just 23,000 options in the money. 511,000 out of the money at the moment. What a difference 2 weeks makes, huh? Well, so I would expect to see some movement towards 24 by the end of the week. So we might be able to capitalize on that. Unless crazy things come out of the woodworks here. It's crazy that I'm looking at the Max Payne list and there we go. So Max Payne for June of next year currently is $3. So those leaps next year might go absolutely bonkers if that's the case. But that's wild. That's currently $3 for the Max Payne on that one. Goodness gracious. Okay. Oh, I turned off the intro. Okay. Chris Taylor 6th. Just Miami. It gives me an address here. He wants me to pop into the old Google Maps. I know why he gave me this address. So let's open up the Google Maps. Boing, boing. Boing, boing. So if you didn't see it, earlier today, unsolicited, Elon Musk released the results of a drug test he took. So people who actually like conduct drug tests or like parole officers, etc., pointed out some major flaws in his drug test, such as he didn't actually do the findings in the second page. It was obvious that the woman who received the test was a woman. The person who was a woman. Therefore, he did not have someone monitoring him, pissing into the cup, etc. And some of the levels of creatinine were off, suggesting that he drank way too much water ahead of the test. So anyway, this is where he got the test done. Boop. So heading down here to Austin. His headquarters are now in Austin. He lives in Austin. He went out to the inner city of Austin, to this place right here, right there. What is that place? Fastest Labs of South Austin. Fastest lab, South Austin. How about we pop a little human being onto this street and we can see what Fastest Labs is. So we got the highway overpass here. It is actually a laser therapy clinic who also happens to double doing labs. So if you want to get your pube hair removed and get a drug test done by people who are not certified in any way, shape, or form to do any of those things, you come here and you get yourself your drug test done, and then unprompted you send those folks a gift card or something to a SpaceX launch. I don't know. I think my mouse just died again on me. Sigh. That's what happens with chargeable mouse, is that if you don't charge them, they die. Boop. Plug it in. Click it up. There we go. All right. Hey, it's back. Woo. All right. Sir, while we're getting rid of your pubes, would you like to piss in this cup? Thank you. Hazel, hey, Trump's big mouth is going to get us into a war with Iran. I think we already are in the war with Iran. It appears as though they're sending the USS Nimitz there. Now, keep in mind, the USS Nimitz is supposed to be decommissioned next year, meaning they will no longer operate. The USS Nimitz can be stripped for parts, probably end up here in Bremerton, where that usually happens, over the Peacetime Naval Shipyard. They'll strip it, and it will no longer be a ship in the U.S. Navy, or at least be mothballed. People are saying that they're putting the Nimitz directly into line with missile capabilities of the Iranians, and that basically to get it to just be vaporized, because they're not going to be using it after next year anyway. So we may as well have a remember the Maine moment where we can then turn all F-35s and B-2s and ICBMs and cruise missiles and Marines and everything else onto the Iranians and just murder millions of people. So yeah, we're head that way already there, Hazel. it's happening. Okay. Chris Taylor, the market actually acted like it was paying attention to reality today. It did. I mean, it cruised up. Like the futures last night were showing a big drop, and then it kind of evened out earlier in the day, and it started rising back up to 601, and then plummeted a few bucks on the SPY. It's not nearly paying attention the way it should, which is the bottom should be falling out of absolutely everything at the moment. Okay. Sorry, getting messages, but none of them matter at the moment. Zuma God do with nub at Pizza Hut couldn't be first. It happens. Andrew Dowell, turn off the intro, turn off second intro. I think all of them are off at the moment. Whew. Okay. Mr. JJ, hi from England, nearly bedtime. No Labs update, please, if you haven't already. I did not look at what No Labs did today. What did you do, No Labs? What do you got going for me? No Labs. It peaked over $4 again today, up to $4.40. It was up quite a bit at one point. Settled out, and now we're floating around $3.90 after hours. Okay. Word. Oh, you know what I should probably check is the messages. That I do have a sister that's messaging, and oh no, okay. Making it seem my sister's getting called up to active duty at the moment. She has not been called to active duty. I was telling Julio, at least they scheduled this war for after the term ended, so she get all her students' grades in this time before they sent her off somewhere. Yeah, No Labs. It's been bouncing between like 350 and 5. It's kind of sitting in that area. I'm sure there'll be some sort of thing that makes it boost again, but we'll see where it goes. Tom Zock, AHW. How will this MAGA morons react to a glory new war? Will they like it, or will the cult just again doing cult things? Well, I'm seeing from a lot of MAGA influencers in like big accounts, they are very, very mad because they were promised no new wars and that Trump was all about peace. He's going to bring peace, and now they're seeing wars. And a lot of these Trump influencers, they're veterans themselves. They experienced really, 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 really bad shit. And they knew how futile our last couple of wars have been, and the pain and suffering and everything else that's brought everyone. And so they honestly thought that Trump was serious when he said he wasn't going to be starting these wars. And I mean, it was naive. It's a lot of naivete in there because you can't trust things Donald Trump says. So yeah, there. I think he's losing them on this. Now, if there is a successful, PR move, sinking of the Nimitz, attack here at home, etc., that can always change a lot of minds. Like the amount of rallying that came behind George W. Bush after 9/11 was, approval ratings at like 90%. Absolutely bonkers. His dad, when he first went to war with Iraq, experienced the highest approval ratings of any president in history. It was over 90%. So, conflict can codify the population around a president. The problem is that this guy promised no wars and he delivered them. and it's going to be a doozy. This is essentially World War III territory. Because remember what allegiances we've got going on here, right? We have, first look at Ukraine. Ukraine is essentially a proxy war of the West with Russia. And Russia is being supplied by the Iranians, supplied by the North Koreans, supplied by the Chinese. So you got this axis of those three nations and Russia together, right? Russia supports Gaza against Israel. Russia supports the Iranians. Israel attacks Iran. The United States, while ruled by a guy who essentially is probably compromised by the Russian government, hates the Iranians. Right? Like apparently they wanted to set up assassination of Trump the last time around, and he does not like them. So that's in conflict with the Russians. The Russians get their Shahed drones, the drones that they're massively sending huge waves of into Ukraine to attack civilian populations, etc., come from Iran. That's been destroyed. The Russians supply the Iranians with missile defense and air defense, which apparently has not worked at all, so that the Israelis have air superiority at the moment. Now, if the U.S. joins the foray into attacking Iran, the nature of the security pact between Russia and Iran means Russia has to join the war with Iran against the United States and Israel, which means the United States now has to understand that they're at war with Russia and should support Ukraine against them. At the same time, weapons manufacturers in China and North Korea were making buco dollars off of supplying Iranians and the Russians, and it might allow China to then invade Taiwan while we're distracted in the Persian Gulf. So then you're going to see Southeast Asia and East Asia at war with China. Through all that, what's North Korea going to do on the border with South Korea? I have no clue. But yeah, we are, ready to. We're about to go to war with everybody, and then we'll have other skirmishes going on in the meantime. India, Pakistan, etc. This is as messy as Europe post Franz Ferdinand assassination. It's going to be a very strange cobbling of allegiances and support and fighting and a whole bunch of senseless death and regime changes and terrorist attacks and propaganda garbage and everything else that's going to come with it. And we're just going to be inundated day in, day out until we're just numb to it all. And yeah. So here we are. Woo, yay! Michael Harrow, Houston. Haven't seen the price of gas change drastically since the new war. How many days before we see the change? Probably by next week. We can look at the oil prices here. That's the oil prices. Okay, crude is steadily climbing here. This is the last 5 days. So you can see initial jump. This is where Israel launched their attack. Boom, schlap. Kind of evened out to a new floor, and now we're climbing back up on news that the U.S. is possibly entering the foray. So we went from some 63 to 73 in 5 days. Over the last month, we had bottomed out as low as 60.89. But as it appears Israel was about to do some shit, it started climbing. So we're at $73-ish right now, $73.97, almost 74. There are tankers currently on fire in the Gulf of Oman near the Straits of Hormuz. If you don't know where that is, let's pull up the Google Earth. So this is, I'm still in Austin. Why am I in Austin? I exit Street View. Like, wait a minute. Let's go. Let's just Street View our way over to the Gulf of Oman. All right. Shabam. Whoop. Oh, hey, fat cat. What's up, dude? All right. Let's get across the ocean here. Whoop. Okay, here we are. All right. So there's Persian Gulf. Straits of Hormuz is around this little horn here. This coastline is Iran to the north, UAE to the south, Oman, UAE, Oman. So remember, we went over here a little while ago. The borders here are really weird. So this part is all Oman here. This really cool rocky coastline is pretty bitchin'. This part is UAE, except for these little bits. That's Oman, but that part in the inside is also UAE. So whatever. And then we have Oman all along this part. Now they claim that 3 ships somehow all collided to each other in Gulf Oman, essentially 200 miles across. That somehow these 3 ships all at the same time hit each other, and there's some giant tankers on fire here. I'm suspicious of that. I mean, if it so happened that 3 ships just randomly happened to collide, and while this war is going on, amazing coincidence. I have a feeling that was more probably a direct attack on oil shipments coming in and out of the Gulf to piss off the world. You know, what are you doing, weirdo? Trying to get over there? Yeah. All right. There you go. Snuggle up, Buttercup. Okay. So yeah, I'm suspect of those actual reasonings. So we have a whole bunch of forces in Bahrain here. We've got a whole bunch of Navy ships, huge naval base, Marines, etc., all in Bahrain. The families of service members have all been shipped out, told go home. We're at war, basically, and ships are leaving port for possible conflicts from Iranian missiles, bombs, and naval ships. We have lots of forces in Qatar. We have forces in Diego Garcia down here, which is where, remember like a month ago I was showing you that we had like B-2 bombers and stuff out in Diego Garcia ready to go. This is where we keep them. This is where a lot of the air staging for the Gulf Wars in Afghanistan was happening at Diego Garcia. It's a British-controlled military base, but we kind of lease it for lots of attack runs. Sunday night, we sent an absolute buttload of strategic bombers and refueling jets, big Boeing 767 refuelers and stuff out. And so, because those things will just float up there for hours, refueling all the planes as they get transferred over. It's going to shape up to be something gross. Tehran itself. Let me get myself back north here. All right, Tehran, nestled here in the mountains. This is a metropolitan area of 17 million people. This is one of the largest metropolitan areas in the world. It's bigger than LA. LA is the largest metropolitan area in the US. It is more populous than that. It is as big as like Mexico City, Lagos, Nigeria. It is a gigantic, heavily populated, heavily urbanized city. And Trump told them all to evacuate. Yeah, sure, 17 million people are just going to hop into their cars and go somewhere. That's not logical. That tells me that he's kind of threatening a bombing campaign. He tweeted out a message saying he knew exactly where the Ayatollah was hiding and the exact location, then he wasn't going to kill him yet. Really disgusting talk. If you're president of the United States, you don't threaten the lives of heads of state, because then you're open game for those same people to take out you as a head of state. There's kind of an unwritten rule in diplomacy that you just don't advertise that or attempt to assassinate leaders of countries. So, yeah, we're looking at, Trump essentially threatened to nuke or carpet bomb 17 million civilians. And most of these people are people trapped under a horrible authoritarian theocratic regime that don't want it. So they're going to become victims of this regardless, either way. So far, the Israelis, for some reason, this attack on Iran have been pretty targeted and trying to avoid civilian populations. They've been targeting scientists, military leaders, political leaders, military and energy facilities. Whereas over here in Gaza, this little strip here, which they just leveled the entire thing and killed countless people. There was no targeting going on. If anything, they would be like, hey, we have some food over here, and then they blow up where the food was. Some really shady shit. But so far in Iran, they've been very targeted, very meticulous, and very surgical in all these attacks, which shows you that they have the ability to do that. So why didn't they do that in this little strip over here? Anywho, the United States is now going to be involved in this, and that's fucking stupid. That's what it is. So anyway, here we are. So, yeah, gas prices are going up. Problem is that the United States is like in massive recession at the moment. So how far it goes up will be interesting, because usually when we go into recession, demand for fuel drops because people aren't flying as much, they're not driving as much, they're not taking vacations, they're not doing all that stuff. So demand really starts to wither and gas prices come down overall. The Saudis are pumping oil as much as they can, but if tankers are on fire in either the Persian Gulf, Straits of Hormuz, or Gulf of Oman, that may limit the ability to get things in and out of the big oil ports here. So I guess we'll see where that goes. Just Mammy, Christy Nome rushed to Washington, D.C. after suffering allergic reaction. Bet it was holy water. Allergic reaction to plastic surgery. Lisa Sa, do you think solar energy stocks will rebound after today's hammering? Some big players down 40% today. I do think renewable energy is the way to go in the future. I was not even paying attention to the fact that solar companies were getting hammered. Yeah, solar is definitely the future. I wouldn't doubt at some point when we have a more sane government, there starts to be requirements for new construction to have solar panels on roofs to offset, power consumption. If we're moving to electric cars, we're going to need to have enough power production on the grid to charge all those cars. Right now, the infrastructure is for gasoline, because gasoline has a huge amount of stored energy in it, and you pump that into a car, it can take the energy with it wherever it goes. But as battery technologies improve, further subsidies, and people, gas prices start to scream, people will be looking at electric cars, and we're going to need the ability to charge those cars up. And currently, we probably don't have the capacity for everyone to have an electric car in this country. So yeah, we're gonna need panels everywhere. I don't understand why people just, when there's new construction, it just doesn't become a thing where you just put solar panels on the roof of everything. Here in Washington, if you have solar panels on the roof, you can get paid to send your energy to the grid. They require the power companies to pay you for the electricity you produce, and so why don't other states do that? Some states had electrical power companies lobby and be like, no, they have to pay us premiums for everything. So if you produce electricity, you get to use it, but any excess doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't feed back to the grid where you get paid. So we need to have probably federal laws passed that supersede these state laws that force power companies to buy any electrical generation you produce. Where to wander? Chinese and Russians won't lift a finger to help Iran. I bet they won't. Well, the Russians gave some lip service about let's get to the table and have some talks, but not really anything beyond that. Whereas according to the pact between Iran and Russia, if Iran gets attacked, Russia's supposed to, basically like Article 5 in NATO, be like, suit up, we're going to go fuck these bitches up, and go on to full war with Iran against whoever's attacking them. And they're obviously like, I don't see anything going on. China doesn't want to do war with anybody. I think the Chinese know that their military technology is built upon Soviet designs, and I don't think they can suffer the image loss that comes from Chinese soldiers and weapons getting eviscerated by NATO technology. So if they're going to do any war, it's going to be full-scale, overwhelming on Taiwan, hoping everyone else just lets Taiwan get destroyed. Because if they go anywhere else before then, remember, China hasn't fought a war in, 50 years? In the last 2 wars they fought, they lost. They lost the Vietnamese and they lost the Russians. So, they don't actually have any experience in warfare. They just don't. And so a lot of their technology can be impressive, but it's unproven. There's a lot of shoddy workmanship. There's issues with graft and corruption in the officer ranks. So it's kind of similar to Russia, where the Chinese are like, look at all of our ballistic missiles. And it turns out that some general sold all the fuel out of the missiles into the black market and then filled it up with water. So those missiles are not usable. So they have issues like that happen. So I think at this point, China would rather just saber rattle all day long, but not actually go to help anybody do anything, because Chinese soldiers getting shredded by NATO weapons will not bode well for their projection as a potential superpower taking over the world. Mike C. Donald Trump, the anti-war candidate. Exactly. David Brooks, does he want a war to claim wartime powers? Definitely. He's going to have to get Congress to declare war for those wartime powers. I don't know if he's going to be able to convince them to do it. I was discussing this the other day with a coworker. She was like, we can try impeaching him, but it'll just be like last time. It won't happen. I said, yeah, the problem is that you need a whole bunch of Republicans to impeach Trump. And the problem with Trump is that he has an incredible amount of just loyal MAGA who do not care what happens. You can ask them like, hey, man, is there something Donald Trump could do that would make you not support him anymore? And their brains break. They can't fathom that being the case. So they'll form rationales for everything that they're presented with, even if it goes against their initial statements and ideals, because hypocrisy doesn't bother them at all. They don't actually have a moral framework or fiber. They have a cult leader who can do no wrong. And they've invested so much into it that it becomes a sunk cost fallacy that they cannot admit to themselves that they were wrong, because that would destroy their feeble little tender ego. So they're going to justify all the horrible stuff that happened. So Republicans in Congress going, yeah, I'm going to vote to impeach this dude. That's a death sentence. That you're getting primaried, and the MAGA people will vote for anyone else other than you. The face saver is the 25th Amendment. Because remember, J.D. Vance doesn't have Riz. He's not popular. People aren't like, oh, wow, J.D. Vance, oh my God. They're like, fuck this guy, right? So J.D. Vance in the cabinet, 25th Amendment Trump, be like, this dude is insane. He shouldn't be president anymore. That saves Congress the face. They go, oh, rabble. They'll save face with their MAGA base, right? Like, see, it wasn't us. It was JD in the cabinet. And then, when JD and the cabinet are now president, they can try to pass legislation, and then all the Republicans in Congress can be like, I'm not voting for this, you usurper. And that's probably the best way to save face on this for Republicans in Congress. That's a hope and pray JD will fall on his sword in 25th Amendment Trump at this point. So here we are, just waiting to see what happens. Trump's popularity is reaching historic lows at the moment. He's trying desperately to save face from a botched birthday parade, from the fact his ICE policies, his FEMA policies, his Doge policies, everything else. Oh, they're trying to get rid of FEMA, by the way. A memo leaked today from back in March outlining how they're going to get rid of FEMA. You know, like if you were in the South and you hit with hurricanes and tornadoes, oh well, no help for you, right? If you are in a place that gets fires, you're fucked. Earthquakes, you're fucked. Volcanic events, you're fucked, right? There's no collective helping anybody in this system, because they're all cut. Because making it so entire areas of this country are uninhabitable is really great for the economy. That's fantastic. That is like primo, like, oh, fantastic. You're really going to grow the economy with that one. When a hurricane comes through and does $500 billion in damage, and then no one comes in to clean up, well, fantastic. I guess we can buy some cheap real estate after that, and everyone else who had to leave those areas are destroyed. Well, good luck. No one's going to help you with insurance either. Yeah. Jigga Shukla, super chats. India is pretty happy with Pakistan using Chinese weapons. Yep. Yep. Although India does have a lot of Russian weapons, but they weren't readily using those ones against Pakistan because I think they realized the caliber of NATO weapons, not caliber like bullet size, like calibers and quality, and inventiveness and engineering is vastly superior to that of Soviet platform weapons that much of the world, third world especially, uses. That's Russia's arms dealing is one of their biggest industries. And I think seeing the traditional Russian weapons get whooped on by NATO weapons in the early part of the war, I think definitely hurt Russian weapons sales, and thus probably hurt Chinese weapons sales since they're built on that platform as well. Although the Chinese do have more tech involved in them, they're still the same calibers, oftentimes same basic designs. So, so that goes. Okay, where was I? I was up here. I'd done... Oh, that's the allergy one. Osland Boyd. All the Trump people going to admit he's a grifter now? I mean, when you see him put more effort into launching a fake phone than you see him do with anything else, I think you start to see where the loyalties lie. In an interview over the Trump phone and stuff, it was Don Jr. or Eric, I can't remember which one was being asked the question, and they asked about like, does your father personally benefit from this? And he's like, oh no, like, but he made $57 million off of your business so far. And they're like, oh, but he doesn't actually like touch that, right? Like he just makes the money off of it. We do all the work, or like as if that's an excuse. Like capitalizing off the name of president. Can you imagine if when Obama was president, his daughter's launching an Obama phone, and an Obama cellular network, and Obama coin, and no, it's uncalled for. Like they made Jimmy Carter give up his beloved peanut farm because it was seen as a conflict of interest for him to own a peanut farm and be president at the same time. A fucking peanut farm, right? And here we are with a real estate mogul who's in deep to the tune of billions of dollars to international banks and investors, creating all sorts of weird money laundering operations and shell companies and crypto coins and cell phones that are supposedly being made in America when they're not. There's no one in America that make that cell phone. It just seems like crime. So yeah, in their heart of hearts, they know he's a grifter, but publicly they're not going to admit it because that would mean that they were wrong, and they can't suffer being wrong in the eyes of anybody. They'd rather just be seen as a clueless asshole than someone who is wrong. Ray Ty Houston price prediction for No Labs this week? I don't know. I mean, it's going to make a push eventually to the probably $14, $15 level. I don't know how long it's going to take though. They may make some sort of announcement like, "Hey, we bought more Bitcoin," and they might cause a little more jump. So they may do things like that to get it to pump over time. But in the end, they just need to file for FDA approval, if they even can do that anymore. Just Miami. Whoa, Tel Aviv having massive failure of the Iron Dome now. Oh, they're getting hit. Yeah, so the ballistic missiles, man, they're going up to in the Tel Aviv here. Tel Aviv, which is the financial and cultural capital, even if they try to make Jerusalem the actual capital, it's not. Tel Aviv is where the hip happening is. These ballistic missiles, they're coming in at Mach speeds, right? They shoot up into basically the upper atmosphere, almost orbital space, and they come straight down at supersonic speeds. And they're doing them in just giant volleys, huge volleys, so that the Iron Dome, which is made for like little piss pot, bottle rockets that Hezbollah and Hamas shoot in blindly. Okay, this thing's going 50 miles an hour. Pick. They can blow those things out of the sky. When something's coming straight down from outer space, they can't find them. Like, the system cannot track all of them. It gets overwhelmed. There's dozens and dozens and dozens hitting in a matter of minutes. The system's like, The best you can do is send up flak and hope that you get one. But the targeting on it is not working at all. So don't worry, we're gonna get our own version of the Iron Dome, right? We're gonna have our own, multi-cajillion dollar version of that. The Golden Dome is what Trump wants, and we're seeing just how weak and ineffective it is. The United States had Nike missile systems. So I've talked about this before. We had a whole bunch up here in the Northwest because we have all these first strike zones, and some of the parks here in my hometown are old Nike missile silo sites. So here on Bainbridge, here on Bainbridge, we had several. We had what is Eagle Harbor Park. This guy here, Eagle Dale Park. This was originally a Project Nike anti-aircraft missile system. Well, it wasn't just anti-aircraft, the Nike missile systems. The nuclear warheaded Nike missiles were there for anti-nuclear things. They basically go up into the upper atmosphere where these missiles are going to come down, and they detonate, evaporating all the other nukes. And so you just end up with nuclear fallout rather than destruction of things. So there's one park that was a Nike nuclear missile silo. And then we have Strawberry Hill Park over here. High school, MZ, Austin Brooklyn, wrong one. Here, Strawberry Hill Park. This was a Nike missile silo. They actually built a skate pool on top of the old silo itself. You got a couple of baseball fields, etc. That was an old Nike site. And then we've got Battle Point Park here. This was not only just this is now the astronomical observatory. This was where they repaired missiles. And then cool little history bit is this building here, the old transmission building. This was where they cracked the Japanese code during World War II. So that's interesting to think about. Now it's a park. And then they had several more. Up in Kingston here, they built some tennis courts on top of, right here, this was a Nike missile silo site. Over in Paulsbo, this little town where they built the Walmart. So this is the Walmart right here. There's like a dozen silos in here. And somebody, because this site took forever to build the Walmart because no one wanted the Walmart, so they kept like calling in bomb threats and stuff, so this production would always halt. So it took a long time. And during one of the halts, before they could fill in the silos, somebody broke in, went down, and hoisted out as many of like the computer systems and guidance systems and communication systems as they could. They stole them, and then they anonymously donated them to the Kitsap County Historical Society. So you can actually check out the really cool things that were inside the silos where this Walmart was built from the 50s and 60s. And then, of course, we got all of our nuclear warheads here for the cruise missiles for the nuclear submarines. So there's between 12 to 1,400 of them stored here. So that's why if we do get the nuclear war, Bainbridge is getting evaporated. Missile sites, undersea warfare construction, torpedoes, etc. Where a whole bunch of the aircraft carriers are based. Here we have Indian Island up here, where all the munitions for the Navy is stored. And we got out here in Tacoma, Spanaway, we've got Lewis McChord Joint Air Force Army Base, where the Stryker brigades are based. Then we got Seattle itself. So we've got like 7 first strike zones. Oh yeah, and Everett, Naval Shipyard Everett is also where a whole bunch of aircraft carriers are based. So, you know, nuke, 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 nuke. We're in the middle of all that, so we're getting evaporated if this thing breaks out into a whole holy war. Fun, y'all. Fun. So, yay. Luminous Reflections, happy birthday plus 1 month later, H-Man. How come Tesla dropped in price and so did my puts? Shouldn't they get better as Tesla's stock price drops? December puts, what gives? Market manipulation? Depends on, like, if you're looking as far out as December and your puts are still way out of the money, the price of those are going to depend more upon implied volatility than it is on actual price. If they drop below your target price, your strike price, basically every dollar drops, you'll gain $1. And then you get a little bonus on top of it for implied volatility. But if you're way down here and it drops like this, you might not see anything if implied volatility goes down. So what you need is massive drops with implied volatility spiking, and that's when you get like huge price influxes for those out of the monies. That's why. Richard White, advocates of Trump openly apologizing on media channels. Great sarcasm. Too little, too late. Yeah. Attending one is Jimmy Max Payne, and I don't care. Those directions, congrats, and go Canada. Thank you. Hit them like button, people. Says Louis. Where do I want to give a thumbs up? Where do I wonder, the U.S. lost a carrier to Iran? It would be a massive embarrassment. I think it's a very low probability. Unless it's being set up specifically to be lost. Or to be struck, or just like dangled, like, I dare you to hit the Nimitz. Come on. Ooh, look at the little jingly keys. Remember, these guys are playing off of like Russian tactics of false flags. The Russians love themselves a false flag to justify anything they do. Do not think that a guy with a persecution complex won't sink to false flags to be able to gain some sort of sympathy from people. It's sort of like a military version of Munchausen syndrome. That's what I'm like, oh, I got a wounded aircraft carrier, feel sorry for me. And everyone go, oh, and they give him the attention he wants. Because it'll make up for the fact that no one went to his birthday party. G-Font, AHW. The other day, Trump shared it was the U.S. that blew up Nord Stream. Thoughts, as I remember you adamantly saying it was Russian. No, I still don't think the U.S. blew up Nord Stream. Now, there's some saying it was a group of Ukrainian frogmen, but I'm leaning more towards Russians because the Russians love the false flag. It wasn't the U.S. There were Russian ships around there. There was nothing U.S. anywhere near there. Yeah, I don't. And it looks like the blow up was from the inside and not from the outside, meaning you sent a pig down there, whomp, and you blew it up rather than, targeting. And the access for the pigs is going to come probably from the Russian side on that one. Where to wonder. Trump takes credit for things he doesn't do unless we see actual evidence. It's unwise to believe anything he says. Yeah. Where to wonder says Trump doesn't give a crap about his people. He doesn't need their votes anymore. That is also true. Seagill. Load up in UVXY calls on Monday. Had a nice day today. Bought SVIX today as a hedge. Noted. I do think we'll see some big red days coming here in the near future. If we are in fact doing war stuff, yeah. If in fact there's some sort of big giant terrorist attack or false flag attack or something planned in the next couple weeks, expect, drops to the point where they close the market for a day while we all weep and do whatever it is we got to do on that. Um, yeah. Writer Wander says Russians are unable to help Iran and China's unwilling to help them. They ain't going to war for Iran. No one's going to go to war for Iran. Iran thought they had some friends. They had people who used them. Julius, White House has issued a travel and photo lid for the day, indicating that Donald Trump is not expected to be seen on camera today. Interesting. He basically left the G7 and went straight to the Situation Room, and he's basically, I guess, been in there ever since. You can't imagine. Maybe he fell asleep. Like he doesn't have the attention span to be taking all information from all sorts of generals and stuff at this point. He's probably like, and there's sundowns. So, interesting. Mr. E-Machine, what the F happened to the Maine? The only one who doesn't know? Do you not remember the Maine? The Maine was the warship we had stationed in Havana Harbor, and it mysteriously blew up, and we blamed the Spaniards, so we went to war with Spain as a result. We really wanted to go to war with Spain, and I think we needed a catalyst for it, and so we blew up our own ship and killed some sailors just for the reason to go to war. Sometimes you just need a reason, man. You're itching for it, and you're like, hope somebody punches me. And so, you've met those guys. They go to a bar specifically just to get in a fight with someone so they can let off some steam. That was the main. We wanted to fight a superpower to prove we could, and we did. We got ourselves Puerto Rico and the Philippines, and could have taken Cuba probably if we wanted to, but we just took a little military base. Yeah, Bush 1 had an enormous approval rating during Iraq War 1. At the same time, gas prices dropped perhaps 20-50%. I wasn't driving, but it was a lot. It was interesting that gas dropped from that one, right? Like, all the oil fields in Kuwait are on fire, and everyone's like, is there a war? And got me, man. Meme was sold last week. Dave Brooks. Can we take our federal lands back under new administration and tell billionaires who bought them to take a hike? I would hope so. I would hope that they would be able to cancel sales or what have you, or eminent domain them all back into parkland again, or national forest or BLM. It is really disgusting to me that we're thinking of selling off all these lands. I don't know if you guys have seen the maps. I'll have to get the the link. Where's the link for the maps? ArcGIS map of federal land for sale. Here we go. Oh, great, Deb. Get that guy monitor. You went out just in time. Come on. One sec. The monitor's gotta think. There we go. All right. Don't show again. I don't care. All right. So you'll notice all the public land is in the west. This is the land that was settled after the Mexican-American War and Louisiana Purchase and everything. And they tried to give away a lot of this land in the past, but people weren't homesteading it because a lot of it is not arable land. What instead happened was they wrote the 1872 mining law to try and encourage people to at least utilize the land for public benefit, meaning they go and prospect and log and mine and stuff like that. You'll notice that like when you zoom in, you got little squares of land that aren't on this list. That's because you might be highways and things. And you got these little pockets. A lot of this was land given to the railroads for completing the railroads across the U.S. Orange is BLM, Bureau of Land Management. Green is National Forest. Much of the West is Bureau of Land Management and National Forest. Here in Washington, we have some, Mount Rainier gets carved out, but Gifford Pinchot National Forest up for sale. Like it's for sale. You want to go and you want to buy Gifford National Forest, you might be able to do it, become a gigantic landowner. There is lots and lots and lots and lots of minerals to be had in here, including big giant old growth trees, etc., that you can log and make cash off of. Going to the North Cascades, got North Cascades National Park, And then we got all the land surrounding it. All of the forest land surrounding Olympic National Park is basically up for sale. It's just gross, if you ask me. We got Bureau of Land Management land in Oregon. Let's see if where Choco. So it's Highway 26. Yeah, John Day Fossil Beds. So this is part of the John Day Fossil Beds Monument, and that is up for sale. That's disgusting. So Ochoco Highway. I'm trying to see if where I did the Grits Creek. Where is North Fork John Day? Here we go. So John Day. Here we go. So the John Day going into this section. Oh, luckily that part's not for sale. That's nice. Where I took everybody for the Eclipse back in 2017. They didn't have that one for sale. So that's good. They're not selling that one. But here's Painted Hills. That's another national monument. Parts of the national monument look like it's going to be for sale. Cool. That's only really historic fossil beds and geologic interest. It's just really gross. Like Steens Mountain. Okay. So Steens Mountain here is a national monument. But they tried to keep it from being mined because there's a whole bunch of minerals here, but it's also a very integral part of the basin and range. And it looks like they're going to sell off huge chunks of Steens Mountain, which will be open up for mining, be my guess. So yeah, we got that going for us. Fantastic. Much of Nevada for sale. Now, if you talk to Republicans like Mike Lee of Utah, why this land is being sold, he's like, oh, so we can make cheap housing for people. No one lives here. No one lives here. That's the reason why it's Bureau of Land Management land that's accessible for recreation and prospecting and hunting and fishing and everything else, because there's no water. So you're not going to be building homes out in the middle of nowhere where there's no industry and no jobs and no water because there's no water. It's bullshit is what it is. And here we are. We're just going to sell it all off so that it can get strip mined, or so rich people can have their own gigantic private estates where only they can hunt the deer in it. And if you try, the sheriff of Nottingham's going to fucking kill you. That seems to be it. And do you like hunting? Do you like fishing? Do you like camping? Do you like hiking? Do you like bird watching? Do you like off-roading, mountain biking, all that stuff? You aren't going to be allowed to do it anymore if they sell off this land. There won't be any land left for you to do that. You won't be allowed to rock climb. You won't be allowed to mountain climb. You won't be allowed to do all sorts of fun things you do out in the wild, because they're going to take that from you. And it's gross. It's really, really gross. One of the greatest things about this country is the fact we have so much publicly owned land. It's one of the selling points. So if you've got little towns like Quartzsite, Arizona, down here. It's off the I-40, right? Prescott down here. No, that's 40. It's off the 10. So Quartzsite is down here. Vicksburg, Brenda, Solomon, Wickenburg. Wickenburg's near Quartzsite. Quartzsite. Shit. Somewhere along here. There it is. Here's Quartzsite. There we go. Quartzsite is a teeny little dusty burg, but they get a huge amount of eco-tourists who come and hike the BLM trails through here, and they hunt and they do all sorts of stuff. They get 7 million visitors pass through Quartzsite during tourist season. And if they privatize all of this land around Quartzsite, the 7 million people who pass through here to do touristy things in this area, poof, gone. You just killed a huge portion of the economy for Arizona just based on this tiny little town here. That's wild to think about. Like, you're going to get economic stagnation. There's a huge amount of money in prospecting and just selling prospecting equipment as a hobby, not as viable financial investment, But old people, they're like, my grandfather was a gold miner, and they retire, and they're like, I want to go look for gold. And they get themselves a pickup truck, and they get a gold dredge, and they go out on the weekends, and they go look for gold. That's what they do as a hobby, and they get little vials, and they give them to their grandkids, like, isn't that great, Sonny? You eliminate the public lands where these old guys go do that stuff, you just killed small businesses across country. You just killed entire industries like Keen Engineering, who is a multi-billion-dollar business for these things. White detectors, mine lab detectors, like there's billion-dollar industries built off of just that as a hobby, and you just killed it by selling off all the land where everyone goes and does their prospecting. You're going to vaporize the economy with this stuff. It's just stupid. It's so dumb. Everything's so fucking stupid these days. I just hate it. I hate how dumb everything is. We could so easily just not do that. And yet here we are, straight up doing it. You guys want to buy some land in the stinkiest body of water in the entire world? They're up for sale. Land covered by stinky water. The Salton Sea. Oh yeah, how much you want for it? The stinkiest fucking water in human history. It's just so dumb. Everything's so fucking stupid. Just fat cat. I'm glad you were just born dumb, so you don't actually realize how dumb everything is. But it's all so stupid. Anywho, I gotta get going. I'll see you guys tomorrow at some point for a show. I'm not sure what time. Wednesdays are usually a day I can go and get a lot of things done. So it might be an evening show if we get to it. I wish you guys well. I wish that we don't go to war and we don't make a whole bunch of more broken veterans that we're then not going to take care of because we're firing 80,000 people from the VA. And I hope better days ahead for everybody. Yeah, because everything's just so goddamn stupid these days. Anywho. Oh, hi, Monkey Butt. What's up, dude? You outside being warm? As angry as a fist. Boop boop. Beep boop ba boop boop. Beep ba ba boop 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 ba beep beep boop 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 ba boop ba boop ba boop ba boop. Didn't end. End, dude. End.